Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. Sandpoint Beach is closed, potentially for good. Here's a look at why this location can be so dangerous for beachgoers. Chris Ensing has our top story.
Could Windsor's Sandpoint Beach be shut down forever? It's something council is considering after another swimmer died this year while swimming in the area. On a clear day, you can see how dangerous the water is from above. This beach sits where Lake St. Clair meets the Detroit River. Water from Lake St. Clair slams into the west end of Sandpoint Beach and flows towards this breakwall. A circular current pushes the water back towards the lake, where it crashes into water flowing toward the shoreline. This creates a whirlpool effect, and all of this is happening at the mouth of the Detroit River, where there's a dangerous and sudden underwater cliff. The water goes from 3 meters deep to 10 meters deep, and that creates a waterfall-like current rushing underneath the dangerous whirlpool above. When people drown at Sandpoint Beach, this is generally where it happens. The city had an independent safety audit done in 2013. It said to put up a fence to block off the western portion and suggest council move the beach to the east. That project first shows up in the 2014 capital budget, setting aside millions to move the beach, but for at least another 5 years. Year after year, that money gets pushed back until council approves a study in 2018. But it's another 6 years before that study is complete. During that time, 3 more people drowned at the beach, a 24-year-old in 2021 and 2 college students last year. City Council decides to jack up the height of the fence, the first safety improvement at the beach in about a decade. That takes us to this year. In January, City Council approves a $15 million plan to move the beach by closing the western section and shifting it east of the bathrooms. But the money doesn't kick in until 2029. Then, a 15-year-old drowns at Sandpoint Beach in May, reigniting safety concerns. Council closes the beach until a coroner's investigation into the teen's death is complete, and some question if it should reopen at all.
And I think we have an opportunity to incorporate a lot of the things that we have in the consultant's report that we adopted, but there is no way that I think we can offer to the public a safe swimming environment.
There's options for us to consider. I don't want to signal to the community that I'm prepared to eliminate swimming altogether in that space, but it's on the table. It's got to be.
So just months after approving a $15 million plan to relocate Sandpoint Beach, and just a few days after opening officially for the summer, there's a chance that this beach may never open again. Chris Ensing, CBC News, Windsor.
Some good news for Windsor Stellantis workers. Employees will return to 2 full shifts a week earlier than previously expected. That is according to both the union and the automaker. Earlier in the spring, employees were warned of fluctuating shifts until the end of summer. A Stellantis rep said the shift changes had to do with a handful of products made at the plant. Employees were originally anticipating a return the next week around Canada Day. It's unknown how long the return to 2 full shifts will last. Roughly 4,500 people work at the plant. There might be a new tax coming to Essex County. It's charged to guests staying in local hotels and other rental lodging. It's called a Municipal Accommodation Tax, or MAT. CBC's Pratush Thayal reports.
Windsor has had an accommodation tax for 7 years now, known as Municipal Accommodation Tax, or MAT. It's a 4 to 6% tax imposed on rental stays like hotels and motels under 30 days. Now, other Essex County municipalities are being asked to get on board.
We've asked each one of those councils to provide us with their level of interest by August 31st.
Tourism Windsor Essex Peely Island is pitching the idea to municipalities. Half of Ontario's municipalities already have this tax in place.
So it is certainly a trend that we're seeing. We've got the hotel product, the inventory, and we thought now was the right time to introduce a collection opportunity.
Or says if all 7 municipalities implement the tax, it would create annual revenue of up to $2.4 million. And that money would be used for promoting tourism to the region. aiming to boost the number of visitors. This Windsor councillor says Matt has been a fantastic addition, helping the city host events to attract more visitors.
We get to collect the tax that's not technically collected from the user base, from the taxpayer. It's done through people who are visiting our hotels, and then it gets put back into the community to add more features, more entertainment, more tourism options. So it's really a win-win for everybody.
Mr. Bergmayer says he supports the idea too.
We have everything every weekend, and it does cost a fair amount of money. So if we could get the tourists to contribute a little bit of that, it wouldn't all fall back on the taxpayer.
LaSalle, Tecumseh, Essex, Kingsville and Amherstburg councils are awaiting reports from the administrations on the tax.
Tax is never the answer.
But there are concerns too. In Kingsville, there's only one hotel. Its owner and general manager says businesses like hers will bear the brunt of Matt.
I definitely think it would have a detrimental effect. Also, there's administrative costs, staff training costs, and at the end of the day, the guest looks at the final cost of their bill and doesn't really consider where portions of that may be going. So for us, it's going to appear that we're just raising our rates, and that is not good for tourism.
We'll know this fall if municipalities want to sign on, and even when adopted, it could take a year or two for the tax to be implemented. Pratish Tyal, CBC News, Windsor.
Khalil Hassan Ali is with us now for our first look at weather. Khalil, today not as beautiful as yesterday was, but it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad. It really struggled to get high into the temperatures like we saw yesterday. So this is where we're standing right now. So we saw 30 degrees yesterday. At the moment, yeah, we're not there. 22 in Windsor, a little bit warmer in Chatham-Kent, a lot cooler in towards Sarnia. So yeah, we did have a hard time getting up. Overnight tonight, we're dropping down to 14 degrees and 14 in Leamington as well. There is a chance of rain as you go towards Chatham-Kent and London, about 30% chance that might come down over to that area. And as we go through tomorrow, it is going to be 24 degrees as our expected high, but it is going to be cloudy. And then same through Leamington. There's going to be a chance of rain coming down through Chatham-Kent, Sarnia, and all the way up towards London as well. But there is a warm-up coming up, Kat. I will let you know about that later on in the show.
Sounds good. Thanks, Khalil.
Okay.
A coroner's inquest into the death of a Windsor inmate has wrapped up, and the jury has delivered its verdict. Back in 2019, 31-year-old Joseph Gratton died of fentanyl toxicity after overdosing at the Southwest Detention Center. He was in custody awaiting court proceedings. The jurors made 22 recommendations to prevent similar deaths. Their first two were related to improving staffing at the provincial jail, which has for years been plagued by overcrowding and understaffing concerns. Other recommendations included making sure that medical staff handle inmate health care requests promptly. For more on this story, visit our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Up next, CBC News has been given exclusive access to Canada's only drug overdose hotline. It's called NORS, the National Overdose Response Service. People who are about to use drugs like fentanyl can call in and connect with an operator who will summon help if the person overdoses. Jennifer LaGrassa listened in on some of the calls.
It's been kind of a long day and I do want to use.
What are you using?
At any time, operators for NORS, Canada's only drug overdose hotline, are making sure people stay safe while using drugs.
Just to be safe, can we just start low, go slow?
Okay, I'll start now.
The anonymous hotline pairs people with operators who listen for signs of an overdose.
Hopefully it's hitting good.
Yep.
And send EMS if something goes wrong. Many overdose deaths happen when people use alone. The hotline is trying to change that. Most calls come from Ontario, Alberta, and BC.
Many of them are working professional jobs. They work in construction. They might have had an injury, like a sports injury, for example.
Lisa Morris-Miller runs the hotline.
The kid at 16 that is popping perks off the street because he twisted his ankle in soccer a year ago and can't get his oxyscript anymore is not looking to die. They got a bad batch of oxys.
Funded by Health Canada, programs like NORS are not without critics.
The reality of NORS is not socially digestible. I certainly don't think that it initiates or continues substance use.
It's taken more than 20,000 calls, responded to more than 200 overdoses. No deaths.
Yeah, I always call it just it makes me feel just a little bit safer.
NORS is another tool meant to give people another chance during an increasingly toxic and unpredictable crisis. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
Some parks in Ottawa this summer will allow people to consume alcohol while outdoors. It's a pilot project in the capital city. So is it something this city should consider, allowing folks to enjoy drinks at local parks? Well, we put that question to some Windsorites.
I don't think it should work anywhere, let alone Windsor. We have drinking everywhere. Why do we need it in public parks where families and kids are? And who's going to monitor it? Who's going to be walking around making sure it's not 17 and 18-year-olds that are drinking? So I don't think it should be allowed in public.
Everybody should be responsible while drinking, right? You can't just overdo it because, it's the park and it's free area. You should be responsible.
I think a lot of people will be responsible for themselves, but there are a few bad apples who will ruin that for everyone. But I feel like people should be responsible for themselves, and others should hold others accountable. And it helps if the police are here as well to just deal with the rowdy ones, I guess.
I would hope not. Windsor has lots of fine restaurants and eateries and outside patios where people can enjoy a drink. And I think that the parks should be able to involve children and, species and so forth without, having to have alcohol along with it.
If it works, it works. But if it doesn't, they can give it a trial base.
The Crown resumed its closing arguments at the sexual assault trial of 5 former World Junior hockey players. The defense lawyers made their final submissions earlier this week. Megan Fitzpatrick has the latest from the courthouse in London, Ontario.
A tumultuous trial that began in April and was filled with dramatic moments, including 2 dismissed juries, is nearly done. The Crown and defense lawyers for the 5 accused are finishing their closing arguments, and soon Justice Maria Caracia will begin her deliberations. Michael McLeod, Alex Formanton, Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, and Cal Foote are each facing 1 count of sexual assault. McLeod is facing a 2nd charge of being a party to a sexual offense. In this final week of the trial, their lawyers urged Caracia to find them not guilty, saying the Crown has failed to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. They sought to undermine the complainant, known as EM, calling her an unreliable witness and accusing her of lying about what happened in the hotel room in June of 2018. They argued the sexual activity was consensual and that EM was a fully willing participant. Today, in her final arguments, Crown Megan Cunningham defended how EM testified for 9 days and pushed back on a defense lawyer's assertion that she was too rehearsed and had an agenda. That criticism is why some people feel victims aren't treated fairly in the justice system, the Crown said. She can't win. If she's too emotional, she's combative. If she's not emotional enough, she's rehearsed. If she uses the same language at multiple points, then it's contrived. But if she uses different language, she's inconsistent. This all finds its roots in my submission in this myth of the ideal victim, that there is a right way for someone to look and sound when they're describing sexual assault. Cunningham said EM, who was 20 years old at the time, was a fair and reliable witness. And while the defense said she's changed her story over the years, the Crown said she's been clear and consistent about her lack of consent for the sexual acts. The Crown also challenged the defense arguments that EM is lying and falsely portraying herself as a victim. She had no motive to lie, Cunningham argued. After more than a month of hearing witnesses and other evidence, Caracia will sift through all of it to reach her verdicts. This trial has been closely watched since it started more than a month ago. The 5 accused who have been in the courtroom throughout will be waiting nearly 6 weeks to learn their fates. The judge will deliver her verdicts here at this courthouse on July 24th. Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC News, London, Ontario.
We're going to take a quick break, but before we go, a solar surprise. Even with cutting-edge instruments, there's only one angle from which humans have ever seen the sun until now. Our view of the home star has always been from one vantage point, head on, facing the equator of our host star as all the planets go around it. But a robotic spacecraft changed that in March. The European Space Agency's solar orbiter did a flyby from beyond Venus, dropping below the orbital plane to capture never-before-seen images of the sun's south pole from 65 million kilometers away. For reference, Earth is more than double that distance from the sun. a live look outside there. We enjoyed a nice mild day today. Some showers might be coming, so Khalil will talk us through the days ahead later in the program. And news of a tragic plane crash in India. We will have that report for you after the break. Welcome back. Emergency crews in India are working into the night at the scene of the country's worst airline accident in decades. An Air India passenger plane bound for London, England, crashed Thursday afternoon, killing almost everyone on board, including one Canadian, as well as an unknown number of people on the ground. Anna Cunningham reports.
A scramble for information outside a local hospital. These relatives desperately looking for their loved ones. This Air India flight with 242 people on board was fully loaded with fuel for the 10-hour travel time to London. And a warning, you may find the following images disturbing. Just moments after takeoff, some 190 metres in the air, the plane starts coming down. The sound of an explosion heard as it hits the ground. This was a densely populated residential area. The plane struck an accommodation block for medical students. Its tail seen embedded in a building. Rescue and search the charred debris scattered over a wide area with the smell of aviation fuel heavy in the air. More than 200 bodies have been recovered so far, including from this residential area. The family of the one Canadian passenger on board, dentist Nirali Suresh Kumar Patel from Mississauga, Ontario, have confirmed she did not survive the crash. Against the odds, one passenger walked away. A British man, Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, seen here in hospital meeting the Indian Home Affairs Minister Amit Shah. India's aviation minister has vowed to thoroughly investigate how this deadly crash happened.
We are not going to leave any stone unturned. We'll do properly according to the protocol, and we are going to go to the depth of why this incident has happened.
The search is now on for the plane's black box audio flight recorder, hoping it may give an indication of those final fatal moments on board Flight AI 171. Anna Cunningham, CBC News, London.
Heightened tensions in the Middle East have prompted the U.S. to move some of its staff out of the region. It's happening amid reports that Israel is preparing an attack on Iran, and as the world's nuclear watchdog agency declared Tehran in breach of its nuclear obligations. The CBC's Crystal Gamansing reports from Jerusalem.
U.S. Embassy staff here in Israel were instructed to stay close to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, given rising tensions in the region. Now, those instructions follow U.S. President Donald Trump Wednesday night saying the region could become a very dangerous place. He confirmed that non-essential staff and their family were removed from the embassy in Baghdad. Now, the U.S. networks CBS and NBC both reported, citing unnamed U.S. officials, that Israel was preparing to strike Iran and that Iran could retaliate by hitting U.S. bases in the region. Now, the U.S. president did speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday to update him on upcoming negotiations between the U.S. and Iran on a nuclear deal.
It's very simple. Not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
The U.S. president has repeatedly said if those negotiations weren't successful, then there could be military action against Iran. Now, local media reports say Israel's prime minister's top aide and strategic affairs minister Ron Dermer, as well as the head of the Mossad, will be meeting with U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff before those scheduled negotiation talks on Sunday. Israeli officials say they want to make Israel's position clear to the U.S. Now, Iran is a non-proliferation nation. It can't have nuclear sites for weapons purposes, only for civilian purposes such as medicine. Today, for the first time in nearly 20 years, the board governing the nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, said that Iran was in violation of its obligations, citing repeated concerns and refusals to explain nuclear materials at sites that were undeclared. Now, Iran's president has said that it will not be bullied or oppressed, and that if there are any strikes against nuclear facilities, those sites will be rebuilt. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Khalil Hassanali is back with us now for more on weather. Khalil, we know that the next few days aren't going to be as nice as what we've been used to earlier in the week, but then they get better again, and this has just been like this constant up and down that we're
exactly. Our little bit of a zigzag over the last couple of days. So yes, it's going to be a little bit cool over the next couple of days, especially Friday, Saturday. But then, as you mentioned, the temperature is going up to start off the work week next week, and then by middle of next week, it is going to be absolutely gorgeous. So a bit of an unsettled Friday. There's about a 30% chance some rain could come down. It's going to be overcast as well. Also Saturday, it's going to be overcast. However, it should remain dry. And then by the time we get to Sunday, it should get gorgeous once again with the sun returning. And as I mentioned, rising temps towards the early part of next week and into the middle of the next work week. So what are we looking at right now? 21 degrees is our current temperature. We really struggled to get over 22, 23 today, when yesterday we were up towards 30. So that's the case today. But looking at that compared to everywhere else around the country, pretty good. If you're looking at Thunder Bay, and also if you're looking at places out west like Calgary and Vancouver, 21. I think they'll take that temperature at this time. So what are we looking at? I mentioned 21 degrees as we sit right now, 23 towards Chatham-Kent, a little bit warmer towards London, but very cool in Goderich right now. And then through our overnight hours, it's going to be pretty nice. 14 degrees is going to be our overnight low. It is going to be partly cloudy. There's not really much rain expected in Windsor, but as you go towards London and Chatham-Kent, there's about a 30% chance of some rain coming down. So not widespread, but just a chance of it popping up here and there. And I mentioned, what are we going to be looking at in terms of weather and active weather? Just very mild, and anything towards tomorrow morning might be where it pops up around the city. Other than that, it's going to clear out, and then we're going to have a nice rest of the day in terms of what it's going to be. No rain. There's still going to be overcast conditions though. And then going towards Saturday, it looks like all the rain will be further south than us. Tomorrow afternoon, I mentioned it's going to be cloudy, 24 degrees, 24 also in Leamington, and also that chance of rain persists through London and Sarnia with a 30% chance of it coming down. Friday, Saturday, once again, overcast. Bouncing back for Father's Day. Look at 26 degrees for our Sunday, and then the icing on the cake. Look at Monday, 28 degrees. Tuesday is also going to be around the 29 degree mark. There is a chance of some rain on Tuesday, but I'll take that right now, getting up towards that 30 degree mark into the work week next week.
And really nice to see that weekend forecast improve.
Yes, we were expecting rain, but now hopefully no rain on the weekend.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Khalil.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching. See you tomorrow.